Hi, this is not the quality for the video, but I just want to pop here and say a little message that I wore this shirt. Actually, it's even happening right now. I wore this shirt today for the first time ever, and I have it unbuttoned a normal amount. Like, my bra does not start till here, but when I'm at an angle, you can see parts of my bra. I'm sorry, that was not the intention. I don't want my bra on display, and it's on display in this video at many points, so my apologies, but it's a really boring bra, so yeah. If I hadn't shown my bra, you would not be seeing my cat, so count your blessings. Thanks. Enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a returning viewer or subscriber. For some reason, unbeknownst to everybody, including myself, I decided to stand for today's video, which is not something I literally ever do. I think I've done it once in the entire history of my channel, and that was many years ago when I was doing some sort of bookshelf scavenger hunt kind of thing, trying to find books quickly based off prompts. I don't know, bizarre concept. Originally my idea was for this video, which is the mid-year book freakout tag, not planning this and then grabbing the books based on my answer to the question, and then I remembered that several weeks earlier I'd actually already planned for this video, and I have a stack of books on my floor which are the answers to this question, so that idea went out the window. But yeah, I'm so excited for this video. It's one of my favorites to film every single year. It is really good at getting a little look at quite an extensive look at my reading year and how things have been going, what books I've been enjoying, what books I haven't been enjoying so much, and what my plans are for the rest of the year reading wise. The first question in this tag stumps me pretty much immediately, and that is because it is asking for your favourite book or the best book that you've read so far in 2025. And for me, that had a pretty obvious answer until a couple of weeks ago. My first answer, and what I probably do think is my actual answer for this, is The Name of the Wind by Rachel Rothfuss. This is potentially my favourite fantasy book of all time. Enjoyment wise, maybe not, but in terms of like technicality and the amount of kind of effort, the visible effort that went into creating this book, it has to go to The Name of the Wind. ACOTAR, I know, very different vibe. That's my favourite series of all time, and I don't think anything will ever top that, just nostalgia wise. But yeah, Name of the Wind is epic in breadth and depth, and I just had the best time reading it. I did finish this book this year, but I started it in 2024, so is this a 2025 read? So if we weren't going to go with The Name of the Wind, I would say Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. This is a recent read that I truly adored. This was everything to me, just aligned with everything I love within a literary fiction book. We're following two characters, Joe and Percy, as they navigate college life into early adulthood, both kind of chasing their passions, but kind of inexplicably being drawn to one another, what they aspire to be within the other person. It's this very complicated situationship-like situation. Don't go into it for the relationship, but go into it for the complexities of young adulthood and also the love of music that both these two people share. Joe in creating it and Percy in kind of living it. Question number 2 is what is the best sequel that I read in 2025, and that goes to Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I'm one of those people who holds the unpopular opinion that Iron Flame was actually not too bad. I gave that one 4 stars because my level of enjoyment reading it was basically through the roof. There were problems with it that I can acknowledge, and I don't think those books are good, but I do think they are a lot of fun. So I was kind of nervous for Onyx Storm because we were told pretty much from the start, from Fourth Wing, that this was going to be a 5-book series. So I thought that Onyx Storm, the 3rd book, could be a bit slumpy just because of the fact that it was like bang in the middle of quite a long series. However, really enjoyed this. You could tell that there'd been a lot more editing done since Iron Flame. This book was allowed its space to breathe, and I think it really benefited from that. On top of that, we just have a really fun kind of plot, one that I particularly love within fantasy. It's like a storyline I enjoy, which is basically, without spoiling things, travelling throughout the kingdoms in search of assistance for a big war. It just worked well for me, and I'm excited for the rest of the series. But yeah, this is definitely a favourite within the series, although nothing will ever top Fourth Wing for me. Number 3, what is a new release that you haven't read yet? So I've got 1 that I don't own and 2 that I do own. All of these are pretty unacceptable in terms of me having not got to them yet. I think that's out of line. But first of all is The Favourites by Lane Fargo. This is not a book I own, but it's one that I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy. It's meant to be a very toxic look at the competitive figure skating world. It's a loosely based retelling of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, which is a book that I've read twice actually. As well as that, it's kind of like, I guess, inspired by, or we as readers have seen similarities between it and books like Daisy Jones and the Six and Carrie Soto in terms of messy, complicated relationships, but also massive competitiveness and drive within sport. That sounds super fun. Obviously, Sunrise on the Reaping. Actually crazy I haven't read this yet. I think I pre-ordered it actually and I still haven't got to it. And I think part of that is because I'm so nervous I won't like it, which is ridiculous because actually it's kind of based on rational thought. On the one hand, I adored the Hunger Games trilogy. 5 stars all round. I've reread the first book 10 years after I first read it and I still loved it. I thought it was amazing. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out and I was like, this is kind of boring, don't like it. There were like some good things about it, but I think in a lot of ways it just didn't work for me, and so I gave that one 3 stars. And so I'm kind of nervous that because this was also written many years after the original trilogy, like that other prequel book, if it might fall within the same vein. But I've heard actually that in general people seem to enjoy this one so much more over The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm going to get to this one at some point regardless, hopefully throughout the latter half of the year, otherwise something will be very strange. And then lastly for this question, I've got Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I used to be one of those people that as soon as the TJR book released, I'd be picking up immediately. I'd be putting whatever I was in the middle of aside, putting all my immediate TBR aside in order to read it. Carousel came out and I didn't do that. I don't know what that was about either. Maybe it was because it came just after Wimbledon season, and I am literally world's #1 Wimbledon fan. I love it so much. Djokovic, GOAT. That aside, I get so hyped for tennis during July, which is Wimbledon season. I usually kind of crash with it just because I'm so obsessed with it, and then it goes. So Carousel coming out after that, the timing just kind of didn't add up. This book, I don't know why I haven't got to it yet. I think partly it's because it is set in space. It's about astronauts. And also I don't really know anything about it. I actually did in fact find out that this is sapphic, which I didn't know until a week ago. So the stupid thing with this is that I actually got it the day before release because I was with Lucy from Live with Lucy. We finally met in person in June. We were in Waterstones and we saw it on the table the day before release and we freaked out, and I still haven't got to it yet. I don't know whether Lucy has. I need to text her and ask. Question number 5. What is my biggest disappointment of 2025 so far? First of all, Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata. This is a book that I read at the start of the year. It was my first book, I think, first read of the year. This sounded beautiful from the back. It sounded so emotional and like full of yearning and heartache and just like everything beautiful about romance. A love story that doesn't quite work. It was trash. It was, okay, I don't want to say that because it's a classic. Yes, it does the kind of like freeze in time, a moment from history that no longer really exists. But it was basically about this geisha and this man who has an affair with 2 women at the same time. He's also married. He's away from his wife. He's kind of on holiday, I guess, or on a retreat. Treats every single woman, including his wife obviously, terribly in the story, and they're just like degraded to this degree that's just so terrible. It like really upset me to read actually. I just detested the man by the end of it. The ending was so ridiculous as well. Has this really dramatic kind of soap opera-y ending. Not for me. The other one that was really disappointing in terms of like a book that I thought I was gonna love that I didn't. Powerless by Elsie Silver. This started out so strong and then the latter half of it went so downhill, and it's because our main male character Jasper changes completely. And when it's a romance book and you're meant to be kind of like essentially having a crush on the main character, I was like, shut up, you are so cringe. I'm sorry, but like it was such a good beginning, and like parts of Jasper's personality or like the history of his character kind of aligned with parts of me, and also I just felt like kind of empathetic and sympathetic towards him. And then yeah, came up with a 2.5 star rating or 2-star rating or something like that. Really disappointing. I loved the first book in this series, Flawless, 4.5 stars. The second book was a 3.5. This one's by far the worst, and hopefully the other 2 in the series will not be as bad. And then this one I'm saying more lightly because I still enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 stars or 3.5. The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Stolen Air duology. The reason why I'm disappointed in this is because I enjoyed the Stolen Air, but that's actually the book. You can see them behind me. It comes after the original Folk of the Air trilogy. The Folk of the Air trilogy is one of my favourite trilogies of all time. You know, 5 stars all round. Stolen Air was a 4-star, which is not bad by any means. Just comparatively, I didn't enjoy it as much and I was kind of disappointed in that. But then I heard that people who didn't love the Stolen Air that much really loved the Prisoner's Throne, so I was kind of expecting 5 stars from this. So to come out with like a 3 or a 3.5, that's why it disappointed me. Okay, biggest surprise. I've got a couple of things here. First of all, I haven't filmed my June wrap up yet, but I'm hoping to do that later today actually. Thrillers. June was my thriller month. I read 4 of them, 3 within the same series, 1 by the same author of those, but a standalone. While I don't have anything against thrillers, I'm not really seeking them out. So when I met Lucy, she recommended that I picked up some Freedom McFadden's and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I've just been having such a fun time listening to them via audiobook and becoming a thriller girly. So that's the first thing. The other thing, A Leopardkin Hat by Anne Sayre. Now, hold your horses. Yes, this was nominated for the International Booker Prize, so obviously I was going to enjoy this, but I was surprised by it because I thought from reading the back that it might have been a little bit kind of airy-fairy, so almost like convoluted that I wouldn't be able to connect with it. I'd be like, yes, I can appreciate this as like a work of art, but personally, I didn't really enjoy it. But no, unfortunately, this broke my heart and tore my heart out of my body and trod on it and left it in the dirt. Extremely emotional and so impactful. It's about this man and his relationship with this woman who's severely struggling with her mental health. How much he cares for her, and also like kind of him just observing her life and the amount of suffering she's going through. It's just so beautiful Beautifully written, really, really cleverly written, but also just like the most heartbreaking thing in the world. I did an entire one book focus reading vlog on that one, so if you're interested, feel free to check it out. New favourite author, question number 7. Frida McFadden, going on with the whole thriller thing. I've just read so many books by her, and honestly I think I'm a bit burnt out by her. Like, I don't know whether she's getting a bit samey because she's getting a bit samey, or whether it's because I'm reading too much of her stuff, like one after the other. So that is my answer for this, but I need a break from her. But she's definitely been like pretty impactful in my life in terms of just like taking over it throughout the whole month of June. Newest fictional crush, question number 8. Dane. I mean, I was always a Dane girly, I'm so sorry. But even in Fourth Wing, like, I knew that we were going to get a redemption arc. And I also felt like he did what he thought was right within the situation he had. And yes, it's horrendous what it led to. But, I don't know, I just like feel like he was in an impossible situation. And I'm such a Dane apologist, I'm so sorry. Also the fan art, he is delicious. So, there's that too. I also think that I'm just such a Dane girl. Like, I think if I was going to date anyone in that series, in terms of like, if I was a character in it, who the author would choose to match me up with is Dane. And I don't think that's even me thinking he's the most attractive. I think it's just like our personalities. Not that I would, it's hard to say this without spoiling things, but not that I would do that to anybody in my life or let that happen. But just like our sensibilities, I feel like we're kind of similar. Take that as you will, I can't be bothered to defend myself any further. Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings. I read The Fellowship of the Ring. Aragorn, full stop. And he's also my newest favourite character, question number 9. Book Aragorn. Not film Aragorn. Even my crush was on book Aragorn. I love film Aragorn. Obviously, he's such a superior character in that series. But, the characters in the Lord of the Rings books, like Legolas, Aragorn, I mean, Frodo's pretty similar. But, like, some of the other characters are just so much better in the book, so much more complex. I could go on and on about that, but I will refrain. Book that made you cry. Okay, I've cried. Let me actually read you my full list, because I do keep a list on Goodreads of the books that made me cry. You should try it, it's fun. First of all, I'm going to run through them all and then I'll tell you the ones that like I think I'm actually going to answer for this question, because there were definitely a couple that stood out more than others in terms of like making me sob to the point I was like trying to catch my breath. Onyx Storm, The Fellowship of the Ring, Powerless, for a good reason, for the first half of it when it was going well, not for despair at the end and how terribly it went. A Leopard Skin Hat, like I said, Shoko's Smile, House of Sky and Breath, and Deep Cuts. So my answers for this question though, I feel like I'm going to have to say 2 of them because I think we've reached new levels of tears in terms of book reading. Onyx Storm, there's a scene in this book right in the middle. I'm not going to explain what happens. Oh my gosh. I literally sat there or lay there. I was in bed reading it. I was like heaving. I was reading it on my Kindle. I don't think I've ever cried so much at a book ever. You'll probably know there's 2 sad events in that book, and the first one is the one I'm referring to. A Leopard Skin Hat, like I said, devastating. If you want to see me cry over this, then you are welcome to watch me do it on the internet in the vlog. On a different note, we've got question number 10, which is a book that made you cry. Why did I literally just say that? A book that made you happy. It's in the title, but we have The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. This was the first contemporary romance book that I read in about like 6 months. I just went completely off them, and picking this one up, I was kind of nervous to read it because I was like, I don't know how much I'm going to actually be like gelling with this. I thought like maybe I'd need more time than that away from them. Just so cute. This also did make me extremely angry because the main character was so delusional at points. This is the kind of one of us is famous trope, singer-songwriter vibes. He is called Jason, and he meets his girl Sloane because she basically like runs into his dog, not like hits the dog, but like comes across the dog and basically like semi-adopts it while Jason is away on tour in Australia, and it's about them trying to make the relationship work based on his career and complications in Sloane's life as well. But yeah, just so much of this made me either laugh or just like giddy because their relationship was so cute. Number 12, your favourite book to movie adaptation that you've seen this year. I thought we would quickly run through my letterbox because I log all the films I watched there, and I'll tell you all of the book to movie adaptations I've seen this year. I'm going to do a video at the very end of the year, I think, like I kind of do my yearly wrap up of reading where I run through every single book I read. I'm going to run through every single film I read in a different video as well, if anyone would be interested in that. I think I'm going to do it regardless of whether you are. Okay, so we've got Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, the entire Hobbit trilogy. I also watched The Hobbit 1977, which is animated, and Emma 2020, Bonjour Tristesse 1958, Towards Zero 2025, The Passion of the Christ is technically an adaptation from the Bible 2004, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring 2001, Rewatches of June and June Part 2 2021 and 2024, Five Little Pigs 2003. In terms of what I think I'm going to answer this question though, I feel like it either has to be The Fellowship of the Ring. Like I said, I read the book for the first time this year, so my brother and I, who I'd buddy read the book with, we watched the film straight after, and I didn't love the film to be honest because I was just like, the book is better.
I've become one of those people. In that case, like, I feel like that is the biggest example of like the book being better. I know people are so nostalgic for those films, but like the book is just better. But yeah, there's that. But the actual experience of watching the film and like the whole journey we went through with reading the book and then watching the film was a fun one, so I feel like that's a notable one. The other thing is the Hobbit trilogy, but I haven't actually read the book. I just love those films. I prefer them over the Lord of the Rings films. They're just so precious to me. The first one is my favourite. I think it's called An Unexpected Journey. Oh my gosh, like Bilbo is so precious to me. So precious. I can't even rate those films because I'm just like so overwhelmed by nostalgia and just like warm love for it, because it's just that beautiful fantasy vibe. I just love it. So yeah, that's my answer. Either The Fellowship of the Ring or The Hobbit. After watching the Hobbit trilogy, we did a deep dive through Peter Jackson, who directed all the films if you aren't aware, doing these like behind the scenes vlogs. He calls them blogs. Love that. Or video logs, I can't remember, something like that. He is such a cutie pie. I love him. I think he's maybe a billionaire. But either way, you never know it. He's just so wholesome. Okay, number 13, a favourite video that you've made this year has to be my Crete vlog. I know it's not like really bookish. I have a little bit in that where I kind of speak about the book I'm currently reading, like at the time. But yeah, I just put so much effort into that. Pre-planning it, like the shots I wanted to get, and then while I was there filming everything and the way I edited, like I spent so many days editing that video. It's crazy. And actually it flopped to start with, but it's doing kind of well. So please watch that if you haven't already. I love it. Number 14, most beautiful book that you've bought this year or been gifted. I don't have a lot to choose from for this, so I went with a book that I have wanted to get this particular edition of for a couple of years at this point. Every single time I'm in the bookstore I look for it and they never have it in store. I think because it's quite expensive online, so I may as well get it in store and support the bookstore. And I was also in no rush to really pick this up, but I just knew I loved this edition, and that is 2001 A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke. This is the 50th anniversary edition. The center rectangle is matte, and then everything else in the book is shiny, and then the back is like this mixture of matte and shiny. It's just beautiful. It's so, you know, the aesthetic of the film is so that I love it. It's like a work of art. And then question number 50, and the final question of this tag, is what books do you really need to read by the end of the year? So obviously we've got my 2025 TBR. There's a few on there that I haven't got to yet, so I'm not even halfway, I don't think. I've got my whole list of them here, but so that you can go watch the video if you're interested. I'm going to only list a couple, so we'll say Dracula. Want to make this the year I read Dracula in October. And we'll also say Slow Days Fast Company, which is also on my summer TBR, which perfectly segues into the fact that I would also love to read my full summer TBR, but we'll see how that goes. The final book that's not on either of those lists that I'd love to read is The Ashes and the Starcast King by, actually, this is on my summer TBR. Anyway, The Ashes and the Starcast King by Chris Broadbent, the second book in the Nightborn duet, which is part of the bigger Crowns of Nyaxia series. This is a series that I started last year. Oh my gosh, I was obsessed. I still am obsessed with the first book. The ending of it was like truly the biggest plot twist I've ever read. Plot twist after plot twist after plot twist in the final like 50 pages. Blew my mind. I'm leaving too long between that book and this sequel, so I need to hurry up and pick this up. So this is a pretty high priority and one that I definitely should be getting to before the end of the year. Okay, I've been filming forever, so I think I'm going to call it quits here, but thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you did. Subscribe if you'd like to stick around and see more videos from me. Let me know in the comments down below what your favourite book of this year was, or your least disappointing, like any of the answers to this question. Basically, I'd love to hear your take on it, and so it's not just a one-sided thing, or your opinion on any of the books that I've mentioned, etc, etc. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I'll see you so soon for another video. Bye bye.